we talked a lot about how other companies should use AI internally and should use like GPTs and everything. And what can other businesses take away from Coca-Cola use of AI? What do you think about that?
So in my mind, things that we already discussed before, but let's just cover it again. Today, we're going to explore Coca-Cola's innovative use of artificial intelligence. They've been leveraging AI in their marketing, in their operations, and customer experiences. But what's truly interesting is how they've turned AI into a strategic advantage rather than just a marketing gimmick. I'm Daniel,
I'm Matheus.
and this is the Human AI Experience. Before we start the episode today, we would like to just make a quick announcement. We're preparing like a live workshop that where we will help people to uncover their skills and their abilities in order to find a business idea. So it's a 1 hour live workshop. We're going to put the link into the show notes. It's going to happen on the 12th of February. Check that out and sign up. We're really excited to have you there. So, I was looking into how Coca-Cola is actually using AI, and they're using AI in interesting ways. Not as part of their advertising efforts, because that's the boring part. Every company is doing that. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. But what I thought it was interesting is the way they're doing research and how they're using to strategize how they actually advertise things. So, but we can just talk a little bit about the how they're doing in their how they're using artificial intelligence in their campaigns, and then we can go and talk a little bit about how they're actually leveraging AI in other parts of the business. I've been there. I work with advertising, and I also worked with Coca-Cola in the past.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. So, but basically, most brands use this when there's an emergent technology and they want to explore. They want to be the first one to do something with it. So, of course, it happened with AI and with a bunch of companies, and of course, Coca-Cola was one of them. They wanted to generate excitement around this technology and then connect it with the brand. So they will do a lot of different activations or interactive campaigns just to make a big deal about it and generate a lot of PR. Classic advertising move. So there's two examples. One of them was a campaign that they did was called Creative Real Magic, where basically they would invite people to just explore DALI, ChatGPT to generate images with the Coca-Cola brand. Pretty standard, very boring. And in the end, you will have a lot of custom generated images with the Coca-Cola logo in a gallery online. That's not there anymore. I think it happened maybe 3 or 4 years ago, so it's a bit old already. But you can
I
gonna put the link in
That
the
was
show.
last year.
Huh?
I thought it was last year, not like 3 or 4 years ago. So that was interesting to see.
No, I think it went out when everybody started talking about ChatGPT, and then I think maybe in a couple
Yeah,
of months after that, maybe 2022 potentially, and then or 2023, the beginning of the year, they released that.
yeah,
And we're gonna put the link to those old campaigns in the show notes, but they're not there anymore. It's just for you to just have a look of the results. And there was another project that they did where they used AI to create a new Coke Zero, the Y3000 Zero Sugar, which was an AI powered vending machine that suggests drinks based on the weather and the time of the day. So, yeah, a bit gimmicky, but of course, they always execute well this thing. So there was like a nice branding. They had a special can with the label. So yeah, it was interesting, but nothing very different. Nothing very innovative, let's
nothing
say.
special. Yeah, Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And that reminds me, of course, of the Christmas commercial. And yeah, I got some opinions about it. It's kind of the same, nothing too much new. What about this commercial? Have you seen anything about it?
Yeah, and we talked about also with our guest an interview back in the last year. But yeah, I did, and it was a bit of a mixed bag of hate and excitement. Because a
Yeah,
lot of my friends and people that I know are from the advertising industry. They, most of them hate it because it just doesn't bring
yeah,
anything new, right? It's just they just took the same formula that they do it every year and then just did it again, but that this time they just used video generative AI basically. So it's a bunch of trucks, Coca-Cola trucks, going to different villages in town and in different towns, and there's just a lot of lights and of course you have the polar bear, the classic mascot from Coca-Cola drinking can of Coke. So it's just nothing that they couldn't have done it without AI,
yeah,
which I think to me that was a missed opportunity because I mean there's so many interesting weird things that AI video generated AI can do, right? That
yeah,
they just could use it and do something different and I don't know. I think they missed the opportunity. So there was a lot of potential in creating something that only AI can do, and it just decided to cut corners and do the same as they normally do. So that to me is
but
boring.
in the other hand, so I feel that it's a bit hard for people to innovate in these big companies, because if you take some bold pathways and then you do something too crazy and then you drop the sales, for example, or anything crazy can happen. We're in this moment where anything can be super bad, and people can be canceled online. So I feel it's harder to risk at this moment, as Coca-Cola has had risky in the 80s, where they changed the flavor and they changed all the branding around the Coca-Cola and then dropped the sales in 50%. So I feel that it is hard to innovate, even though if you have so much potential in AI,
Yeah, I
you know what I mean?
understand what you're saying, but that's a different thing, right? Innovating in the way you
Yeah,
communicate it, they should take those risks because that there's a potential for going viral that way.
yeah,
Not just by for the sake of using AI. That's just I think they doing that maybe in the beginning when everybody was talking about ChatGPT, yes. But now, like last year, where kind of AI is becoming more consolidated and just doing the same, that's not taking risks. It's just not leveraging the opportunity of actually doing something quite innovative and clever. But of course,
yeah,
like when you what you mentioned, they changed the product. That's a big
yeah,
bold
yeah,
move, and then of course,
yeah.
then that's a big risk. And then they learn. I guess they learn fast how what not to do in terms of the product.
Yeah, they even changed the brand, the label of the Coca-Cola Zero, so it's kind of similar to the normal the Coca-Cola original, let's say. So because of this, I think they want to keep the color and the brand. So
And now it's
so
quite
that's, I don't know. Yeah, there's the risks, even though I agree with you. Commercials are, if you're bold in commercials, the viralization is kind of the next step, So
yeah. I mean, I know of course they are an established brand, right? So I mean, everybody knows Coca-Cola, but at the same time, if they stop advertising, their sales drop dramatically because they need that
yeah.
constant bombardment of Coca-Cola as a brand and then reminding people subconsciously that they exist. So
And, and are they using AI in different ways, like internally? Is there any risk, for example, for them to replace some jobs, as everyone is afraid of?
Yeah, they are, and I think that what we're gonna explore a little bit right after. But Coca-Cola says that no, they don't want to replace people. What at least that's what the CEO is mentioning, right? That they see AI as a
Classic.
collaborator. Yeah, classic. But so what they mention is that they see AI as a collaborator that handles repetitive tasks, freeing up creative
Yeah.
talent, right? But if you look closer, their campaigns are indirectly cutting out production companies and suppliers, right? If you start using these AI tools, you're not paying a production company, a director. You don't have actors. You don't have visual effects studios working in your. You don't have like sound designers. There's like so many people in that get involved into a production of a commercial. Let's say back in the old days, because we're it seems that we're going that direction now.
Yeah.
So all these people will get less and less projects to work with. So it's going to get harder and harder to support that industry, and then they might not be impacted inside Coca-Cola, but they are indirectly impacted by these decisions of using AI for these things. So, and I'm not saying that necessarily that you know they are not supposed to do that. I'm just saying that we need to be mindful that there's going to be an impact of not hiring these people anymore. If AI is going to replace that, things will be much different.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to measure the impact and to fully embrace these changes. So I don't know. I don't have an answer, and just like trying to understand the natural. It's a natural pathway. I believe like these changes are gonna happen more and more. Like, um,
Yeah, back in the old
yeah,
days,
yeah,
you had people that were specialized in typing things in a typewriter, that it would just be
yeah,
fast enough to capture a dialogue or to register some documentations on meetings and stuff. After the computer, that job doesn't exist anymore. Of course, it's natural transition when you have a disruptive technology that a lot of jobs will be irrelevant, because you can do a lot
yeah,
more with a different tool, right? Or with a different device or hardware or software or whatever. But at the same time, um, we can't just ignore that this is gonna start happening, right? So we just need to talk about it, because
yeah, yeah,
then all these people impacted, they will have to think what they're good at and how can they use AI to improve their skills or to still use their skills, right? Like a director. I mean, just giving an example, like a commercial director. I mean, that person could just, instead of directing a lot of actors or being in charge of a massive production, they might transition into directing a
an
prompt.
AI.
Yeah, or prompt
Yeah,
directing an AI tool to give what they want. Because I think that's where human creativity is really important. You need a vision to execute. So these directors usually they have a vision of what they want to do, and then they hire a bunch of uh, people that have different expertises to actually materialize that vision. So what will happen is that maybe these people will then brief an AI tool to do that. But
yeah,
I think we're still not there. I mean, it's not good enough. It doesn't. It's not very good at manifesting very unique different types of visions. It's not very good at replicating physics, but it's evolving. Every day there's like some
some new
improvements.
tools and new.
Uh,
Yeah,
but I think despite of the generative use of AI that Coca-Cola is doing in their campaigns, what actually is truly interesting is that they created a tool called Albert. I don't know where that name came from, but
Yeah.
It's called Albert. So it's a marketing tool. It's a platform that is basically transforming their digital campaigns by analyzing massive amounts of data and making real time adjustments. For example, it tailors ads based on consumer preferences, purchasing history, and even factors like the weather. Because, yeah, the weather can actually impact purchases, I assume.
Yeah, many things can affect purchases. Like I know that it increases the amount of purchases if you put a Coca-Cola and a Pepsi Cola close to each other.
Yeah.
Instead of like creating a dispute, they actually increase the sales, which is kind of counterintuitive, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But how can this technology improves the sales and the campaigns? Like, can you give an example of it?
Yeah. So Albert basically targets the most profitable customer segments. So I think it analyzes. I think it works a little bit like Meta ads, and how
Yeah,
it puts a lot of things out there, and then it tracks what performs best, and then does that. It takes some decisions of what to move forward and what to stop exposing users to. They do also personalize the ad content. So I guess this is I'm guessing because I couldn't find that information, but I guess it just changes the copy. It might changes the images to see what works best, and that has been proved to improve. According to their reports, they improve engagement and loyalty, and they have seen a market increase in return over investment using Albert's ability to optimize campaigns dynamically and reduce unnecessary spending. So they're already reducing the money that they're adding to, because they are these tools get better and better with time, right?
we know, we know how it works.
Yeah, we talked about how AI is pretty good at processing huge chunks of data, and we talked about
Yeah,
this as an episode in an episode that we can link to the episode about Amazon's AI machine learned system that basically it's used to help deliveries being more efficient, and that also take into account a lot of different routes and amount of fuel that the trucks have and so on, and also airlines. There's a lot of machine learned AI algorithms used in for airline companies to optimize their very low, because it's a business that has a very low profit margin, and
yeah,
they're really reliant on this system to make sure they have almost fully booked planes in most routes to make uh, basic to be profitable, and make sure there are planes flying. So it seems like a
yeah.
trend.
Oh,
Every company is leveraging these algorithms to optimize their internal processes.
but you mentioned that it's similar to Meta ads, but what kind of data are they using to feed the AI? Is it the other companies' data, or are they collecting somehow this data to process? Do you know about that?
To my understanding, because they did a partnership with Microsoft and move all their internal systems to Azure, then I think they can collect that the data themselves. And I'm pretty sure, with the size of Coca-Cola, they are using everything in their power to optimize these things,
Yeah,
including advertising in any platform using their systems and so on. But I think collectively you can extract that data from meta ads, for example. You can extract data
yeah,
from their own advertisements in different channels, and that, to my understanding, that is being collectively um, gathered by Albert and then analyzed. because can you imagine if you are a group of team or a group of people or a team trying to analyze that chunk of that amount of data? It's not
It's not possible.
humanly possible. Yeah. So it makes sense that they're using these systems to do that.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Is there any privacy concern about that, and are they addressing any privacy concern or anything?
Yeah, well, they mentioned that they have a governance model internally that they have a council of people that is led by the chief financial officer of Coca-Cola. The goal is to evaluate risks and ethical considerations of using these tools. But I honestly couldn't find anything else about that. I guess they're probably suffering from the same privacy concerns that a lot of companies have. But as to my knowledge, they have an AI system running in their own servers, so they're not like they're not sharing that with the the providers of the AI. But I don't know more than that.
Yeah. So do they have their internal GPTs? That's what you mentioned. Something like that.
Yeah, they do. So basically, these tools, these AI tools that Coca-Cola have, help staff streamline repetitive tasks and improve decision making. So they get real-time insights and enable employees to focus on more strategic projects. So so they have their own AIs running internally, and then that happened because they moved their operations, like I mentioned before, to Azure, and then they have a partnership with
Yeah.
Microsoft that allowed them to optimize supply chain management and then support employees with AI assistance. Yes. So
So they're taking everything in consideration. I think that's super interesting how they are using it and how they are like we talked a lot about how other companies should use AI internally, should use like GPTs and everything. And what can other businesses take away from Coca-Cola use of AI? What do you think about that?
so in my mind, things that we already discussed before, but let's just cover it again.
Yeah.
Collaborate with AI. Like use AI as a tool to enhance human creativity and efficiency, not replace it. So I think AI is really good at summarizing documents and analyzing big chunks of data. So leveraging that's really important because that enhances human capabilities, right? It just you can do that much faster using these tools that if you would were to have like a big team of people looking into that information. Now you can have that big number of people actually coming up with different solutions based on the insights that the AI gives, right? So look, if you want to start using AI in your business, you should look into the process of your company and think where you can insert AI to streamline your operation. If it saves your time, it's definitely worth trying to implementing it. So second,
Yeah.
do you want to compliment? Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
It's just I think it's interesting. Like, I feel that many companies should do that, especially talking about data. Data. It's sometimes it's easy to collect a lot of data, but it's hard to analyze everything like carefully. And I think GPTs and all this technology can help to summarize a lot of this information and get all the important parts. And as soon as you're using constantly, it creates a better a sense of what is important and what is not. So I feel it's an interesting way of using AI, like in the companies. And even copying some documents are more standardized and reusing some parts of it. That's the way I feel that it's most intuitive of being using AI for.
I think another thing is internal AIs. So having GPTs to help your employees with repetitive tasks is also a good lesson. A lot of companies are afraid of the lack of privacy with while sharing internal secrets or intellectual property. But there are solutions that can prevent that from going to the cloud and to OpenAI servers to train other GPTs, right? You can have your own local AI running privately inside your network, for example, train with your data. I think that's the biggest thing, because if it's trained with your data, you can use it as an internal chat, and then it can fetch that information for you, speeding up the process and giving access to your employees to that information quicker. And Coca-Cola is doing that. So there's different ways of having GPTs running locally without, we don't have to worry about sharing that information with the world.
Yeah, the Coca-Cola did that well with the commercial. They just put all the old commercials and created the same. Sorry, I didn't. I couldn't resist the joke.
Yeah, it's easy for AI to just generate something that has been done before, especially with Coca-Cola.
Yeah,
And I think
yeah,
the last one is, you should, you know, companies should take some calculated risks, right? Coca-Cola isn't afraid to experiment, whether it's AI generated commercials or AI powered vending machines, but they're doing it. They're trying to push the boundaries. They didn't do it with the commercial last year, but
yeah,
they are trying to do some different things at least. Some ideas might not work, but the lessons learned can drive bigger successes, right? So I think Coca-Cola's AI journey proves that innovation isn't just about chasing trends, right? It's about strategically integrating technology to solve problems and create new opportunities.
yeah. It sounds exciting actually, and I have checked the this other campaigns that you mentioned here, and then they look really nice. Like to make people interact with your brand and creating some stuff related to your brand, even though it's kind of easy to do. Let's say like people just go in their ChatGPT and do the thing. But this engagement, I think it's important for the brand. So I feel that it's a way of engaging with people. People feel part of the brand. So that's one of the key points of Coca-Cola. Create these interactions and creating and making people feel part of the family. Let's say. So I feel that it's working in their way of
Yeah,
using the tools.
I think that's what propaganda or advertising can do, right? Like, you can, especially now with, I mean, at least interactive campaigns on the web, they can really bring you closer to the brand, right? And in this kind of
Yeah,
activations. But at the same time, they're not new, right? They're just, and I'm speaking because I've been in this industry for years. So
yeah,
we were constantly trying to do something different, like, because that's
yeah, yeah,
still a bit more of the same. I think they did that with the Y3000 sugar zero sugar campaign, where they try to create like a different label and this vending machine, but at the same time, it's they can do a lot more. So Coca-Cola, you can hire me.
yeah. You did a interactive Coca-Cola marketing.
Yeah, I did to promote an event, an internet event in Brazil. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was a fun project.
yeah. So you know a little bit of what Coca-Cola strategy it is. So
It is a pretty cool brand,
it's
so
cool.
it's a cool brand to work
Yeah,
with, because they are quite open minded as well.
yeah. I think so. They're using AI in a smart way. I think. But it's at big brands. I believe it's hard to innovate completely. Like for example, if you have a small business, you can be more bold. You have less to lose. Let's say so. It's understandable that they are still trying to do small steps on the AI. So
Yeah, taking calculated risks.
yeah,
But that was it for today. If you enjoyed the show, please consider leaving a review on Apple Podcasts. It's free and helps us a lot. This way, it can help us also reach new listeners. Oh, and if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform to stay up to date on our latest episodes. If you have any questions for us, reach out to us at hello@humanAIXP.com or connect with us on Instagram. Thanks for listening. See you next week.